Welcome to this latest edition in our video interview series here at iConnect. My name is Richard Albert, and along with Tom Ginsberg and David Landau, I'm a founding co-editor of this blog. Our video interview series today is called Five Questions. 5 questions that we ask to a scholar of public law. Today, Antoni Abat Ninet, professor of comparative constitutional law at the University of Copenhagen. A scholar whose work I've known for many, many years and who's now a dear friend. Good to see you, Antoni. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Greetings from Barcelona in Catalonia, Spain.
Oh, good. I hope you and your family are in good health and staying safe. Very good to see you.
Yes, we are. Thanks God. Yes, we are.
So, Antoni, as you know, this series is a way for us to learn about you and your work. We're also interested in how you research and how you write. So let's just dive into it. What are you researching and writing right now?
Well, actually, I'm doing a lot of stuff. But basically, my 3 main research that I'm conducting now, I will say, is a co-authoring book with Professor and also our dear friend, Carlos Bernal. He's a justice in the Constitutional Court of Colombia on constitutional crowdsourcing, where we are analyzing how constitutions need to be adapted to the digitalization and the digital era. We are now ending the book, and it has been so far a very productive and amazing experience. I'm also co-editing a book on constitutional revolutions with Professor Martin Beloff, that is in Sofia. It's also a very interesting project. I've been reading, of course, Bruce Ackerman's last book, also Yarif Rosnai on Gary Jacobson, and also the book that you edited that was fantastic in hard publishing. So we are trying to approach the topic of constitutional revolutions with different angles in order to cover the late and very little spaces that you guys left for the rest of the academia. And finally, what I'm trying to starting, I'm starting another book, which is constitutional theology. This is a very long project, and I'm trying to analyze how theological theories has been transplanted into the realm of constitutional law to achieve legitimacy, and how they are applied in the different constitutional genealogies. So this is what I'm doing right now.
You have 3 big projects. You also have a smaller project. You're writing a chapter for a book that I'm co-editing with Richard Stacy on referendum. So thank you for that chapter as well.
You're very welcome. No, very welcome.
So you have many projects on the go, Antoni, 3 books, some chapters, some papers. How and when do you write? Do you have a routine that you use on any given day, or you just write whenever you have the time to write?
Well, you know, things have changed with the pandemic because you know, I need to take care of my daughter, and she's extremely demanding. I can tell you, it's more demanding than a book. So, normally the way that I used to work is when I wake up, I'm fresh, so I start to write, to read and write, and trying to work on some of the project that I'm developing. After 2 hours of writing, reading, and focus, I need to do a break because my brain otherwise will exploit. Then I do other things, but maybe later on the day I'm playing tennis or watching a TV serial or doing another thing, and suddenly an idea comes to my mind, and I go back to the file that I'm working, and I make some notes, or I record in my mobile something by voice, or I read a Twitter of some of our friends saying and enlightening me what to do. Maybe this is late of the night, so it's a little bit chaotic, but because my brain is still thinking, even though it's not the first idea, but it's still thinking in what I'm developing. So this is normally how I work.
I think the answer is that you're always thinking about your work all day, all night.
Yes, don't tell my wife, but that's right.
So Antoni, if I could ask you, you published so many books, some very well-known books and great articles, great chapters. It feels like you were meant to be a scholar, a professor of law. When did you know that this is what you wanted to do for your life?
This is a very good question. I mean, it's hard to say if there's a concrete moment when I was aware that I wanted to be a law professor. You know, I was always fascinating to learn. I'm still being fascinating to learn. So for me, what did really attract me to academia and to law was this feeling that you are learning something that really amazes you, that really makes you think about. And probably because as a good Mediterranean guy that has problems with authority, the law faculty was the first. When I started my law graduate, my student, yes, the career of law, right? I was not very aware what will happen with my life. But then later, when I started to get deep on some of the materials, and I was very lucky with some of my professors and colleagues, I then realized that I wanted to belong to this academic world and trying to be a law scholar with the idea to learn, but also, of course, to not make teach is a very, very big word, but at least to communicate and to share my impressions, my critical perspectives on in the law faculty. So I think it was a progress during my law faculty.
Well, I'm certainly glad you made the choice to become a law professor because I've learned so much from your work. Can you think back to when you were an undergraduate law student, or maybe even a graduate law student? Was there a book or a paper or a chapter, some work of scholarship that really hit you hard, that really made an impact on you, that today continues to shape how you think about law?
I think so. You know, I've been thinking about this because there has been not only one book, but I will mention 2 or 3 books that have changed not only my career, but also my personality, my way of life. So I remember when I was 15 years, my mother, she always wanted to buy me books, and she was in trouble because, you know, I was reading strange things for her, and she bought a book from the bookstore in my anniversary. I was 15 years, and it was the Theory of Justice of John Rawls. My mom didn't know what the book was about, but she was always aware that I was thinking on justice as a leitmotif in my life, and so this book changed my life and pushed me towards academia and research. Then when I was starting my PhD, I read another book, a German book of Horkheimer and Adorno. The book is Dialektik Aufklärung. I don't know the translation in English, but it was a book on a very, very important book on critical perspective from the School of Frankfurt, very philosophical and very deep. So it also changed the way that I understood not only law but also society and the need of a critical perspective. And then there is a little book that came later from a colleague of you and us that I was very, very happy and very excited to meet him in Copenhagen, which is Constitutional Faith, a book of Sanford Levinson, which really changed it opened for me a new path of research and interest and thinking. That's why my projects on constitutional theology and messianism, how theological theories. So I think it's time to maybe not thank, but I was pushed by this Constitutional Faith book of Sanford Levinson, also another book that he has, Our Undemocratic Constitution. So I'm really, these books have changed and has shaped my interest, and I think my life.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'll share that with Sandy.
Please do so.
And when it's safe to travel, you have to come and see us in Austin so you guys can meet and exchange ideas about your book on theology, which you're working on right now, one of your 3 big projects.
I mean, I would be very, very delighted. I would be very honored.
Yeah, I'm sure you would love
when
that.
you are talking with people like Sanford Levinson, which is a real a big name for you, also in a deep sense, you know, it's serious stuff. It's not like talking with another kind of colleague. So I will try to yes, I will be very, very honored.
Yeah, well,
Really, really.
we would love to have you here for a visit. So, Antoni, you've told us about what you're working on. You've told us about how you write and how you research. You've told us about when you knew you wanted to be a law professor. You've told us a bit about some of the works that have impacted you as a scholar. Now, what about your most important works? You've written a lot of stuff. Could you maybe identify one that is really very meaningful to you, important to you, maybe your dearest? I ask because I'd like to link to that work, a book, an article, a chapter, so that our readers, our viewers, can learn a bit more about your work if they don't already know about it.
Yes, I will mention my first book in English, which was edited by Edinburgh University Press. The name is Constitutional Violence, Democracy, Legitimacy, and Human Rights. It's a book, is a very, how to explain it, it's a critical, very critical book. It aims to, very polemic. I try to engage with the readers, potential readers, a deep conversations from a philosophical perspectives on constitutional legitimacy and how constitutions are applied, why we do consider constitutions as valid documents, and what's the role of the demos, of the people within all this this reality, right? Constitutionalism. The book is also presenting a sort of conflict between constitutionalism and democracy, which is not always the case, but it can be the case. I mean, I was very honored to have the preface of Professor Mark Tushnet, and I think the book was the first step of this constitutional theology theories and questions of legitimacy, legal messianism. I had also a chapter on legal messianism on a book that you edited. So that was the kickoff of this huge project, but also it was an ending point of my tradition with critical legal studies schools, Robert Cover, the School of Frankfurt, Derrida, Foucault. So that it is again is a book that aims to establish a very critical perspective, polemical too, and aiming to think and to discuss, to provoke. It's very provocative. Otherwise, it's boring for me. You know, I need to provoke my readers of what I'm doing. So I will mention this book.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. And Antoni, coming into this interview, I know you had many fans, but those who will watch this interview will become your fans, I'm sure. Having met you virtually and now maybe going to read your first book in English. So Antoni, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Antoni Abat, Ninet, Professor of Comparative Constitutional Law at the University of Copenhagen. Thanks so much for agreeing to do this. We wish you and your family and your loved ones safety and good health.
Richard, thank you very much. I was really appreciated. Thank you very much. It was an honor. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Stay in touch. We'll stay in touch. Bye-bye.